Call a meeting to order of the Griggs County Commission at 1 o'clock on July the 6th. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale. Here. Mark.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Troy's here. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I did not have the ND PERS retirement information that I sent out earlier on there. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk about that today. We can wait till next meeting if you'd like. But
You guys want to talk about that today, or you want to wait till the next meeting? Do we need to take some action? It kind of feels like we should.
there's the email is right there. But
I'd like to talk to Jamie about it first. Let's put it on the next meeting.
Good. I think we should ask for some more information too, the more I think about this. I would like to know how it will affect each individual employee if in fact we decided to terminate this thing, because it seems to me like they're making the rules up as they go, and they're gonna punish the employees if we try to do what's best for the county, and I don't like it very well, because that's not what it's about.
I'd like a review of the statutory authority to do so. I mean, what gives them the right to not allow us to offer two different retirement programs?
Right. You know, it might come to us making a request to go out there and meet with them or have them come here or something. I don't understand their thought process one bit.
No, you understand the thought process, you just don't agree with it.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Lack of thought process.
okay, I'll
Are
put it
there
on
any
the agenda for next
Next
meeting.
time? Okay. Anything else on the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda presented.
It's been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
So move.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. How come these are so drastically different?
Though I had forgotten to put the right bills in, so those are the revised minutes.
These?
And yep, and I forgot to put who attended the meeting up on the top, so then those are now the correct ones.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Second page of the minutes, there's a discussion on Central Plains assessment in Dover Township. Central Plains is in Greenfield Township.
Anything else?
Move to approve the minutes as amended, dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Dale to approve the minutes as amended and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sean. Is there any discussion?
The paragraph on medical marijuana, it makes it seem like we adopted a policy of zero tolerance and prohibit employees from having a medical marijuana card. That was a recommendation of the state
Or the association?
association.
Yeah, we haven't done anything.
Right, but this reads like basically,
There's no motion now.
no. Okay,
Says suggested policy, zero tolerance.
yeah.
Well, you asked for more information or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I haven't gotten it.
Right.
I mean, we'll talk, isn't it on here?
Yep.
It's on the agenda.
Right. Okay. All right, as long as we're fine with that, we'll leave it.
Any other further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the bills. You guys see anything in the bills?
The only ones that will go over are on page VW Motors,
What page?
page
Page
10.
8. Yeah.
No,
Page 8.
page 8.
Sheriff's repairs.
That one's gonna go over, and Jamie Tennyson, page 8, for the General State's Attorney. That one will go over as well.
How can that be over in July?
The State's Attorney one?
Which one's it in?
General.
No, I know that. Liabilities?
It would be expense.
Expense report. State's Attorney General.
And then it's the 4143,341. Do you see that on the account number?
It only had, it didn't have anything in it.
Oh,
You gotta put it into the wrong account.
So I'll talk to Jamie about that one.
Yeah.
Make sure that that's the right account he wants out of.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any there wasn't anything funded into that account. Or authorized.
okay.
Travel. So that probably should have been out of general travel.
More than likely.
Do you want to take it out and get more more information, or do you want me just to switch that out of the general travel?
Well, you better
We'll
see what he wants to do with it.
pay it, and, I mean, he can decide where he wants
Where
to
he
take it
wants
out.
to go.
Okay, and then I can correct that later.
And give him a demerit.
Okay.
Anything else in the bills you guys have questions on? I didn't really see too much in there today.
Move to approve the bills as presented.
I'll second.
Moved by Sean, seconded by Mark to approve the bills as presented. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay, monthly office reports.
Kelly's did not make it in here because she was too busy to get it done, so.
How's Christy doing? Has she been in to
Nope,
visit? Not
nope.
even to see you guys?
Nope,
Doesn't
not
visit?
yet. Hopefully
Oh.
soon. I wanna see the baby.
Move to approve the monthly office reports.
I'll second.
Been moved by Dale, seconded by Mark to approve the monthly office reports.
Do we just do the sheriff's report once?
I guess I didn't receive that one either.
That's a revenue report, right? Wes,
Yep. I didn't get them. I'm sorry.
do you have it?
I could print it off, yeah. It's all gone.
Yeah, that should be a part of the record.
So we're gonna get two next month, or what?
Yep.
I don't think there's one for the recorder either, is there?
The recorder clerk report, I said that Kelly didn't get hers done, so it'll.
So we have the monthly office reports minus sheriff, clerk, recorder, or clerk and recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the monthly office reports that we did get, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Wayne,
In your
it's
packet,
your monthly office report?
office report, I can give you one. You do a lot of spraying, we can graveling.
Yep. You know, and I know you and I visited about spraying, and I haven't really talked to these guys about it, but Wayne gets calls if he sprays, and he gets calls if we don't spray. And I think it's our duty to do it. So if somebody wants to put that hay up, they're gonna have to deal with it. And if somebody wants to talk about it, I think Wayne should send them here, because we can't not do it. And we can't not support him to do it, because that is part of our job, I think. I'm glad it's getting done this year. I've had, everybody that I've talked to is happy to see it happening again. Wayne's had calls to that contrary, but I think those should be dealt with here, because I think we're the ones that ultimately are asking him to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know if we did or not, but maybe from here going forward, we should put an ad in the paper 2 weeks before we're gonna start.
And of course, it's been going on for a while.
Right,
Yeah.
no, I mean next year,
Miles, yeah.
maybe we should, okay, we're gonna start on this date, put it in 2 weeks beforehand, and
What are you spraying, Tordon?
Put on and platoon,
yeah,
that's the 240.
right, so there's a grazing restriction on,
2,4-D, but not Tordon.
not toward on.
As long as your cows don't urinate on sensitive plants.
Yeah, don't let them in your garden.
Yeah.
Well, and the biggest thing is people like me, if you're gonna spray Tordon on your hay and then put it up, you better not feed it out in the field and try to plant beans in it next year or something. But I mean, a friend of mine did that one year, put up a bunch of ditch hay in, and he couldn't get his beans to grow the next year, but he didn't blame it on the guy that sprayed ditches. He blamed it on his own lack of management.
Yeah, and some of it, they've just gone out with a rotary.
Yeah.
We just sprayed it, and you turn around, come back 2 hours later, and here they're cutting it.
Yeah, and that's not gonna it's not gonna kill
Chemical
nothing.
isn't gonna get into
No.
it.
It needs to.
Yeah,
Roundup.
we can do that,
or-
put
but-
it in the paper or whatever. But, been going pretty good. We're gonna need more chemical. We have plenty of, the 2,4-D, but we're gonna need Tordon for next year, so again, we'll have to put some
Put out some bids.
money in the budget for weed spray.
How much we're gonna need?
I'd just say probably $5,000 to $6,000 probably for chemical next year.
Okay.
I think we need some, mix in there so it doesn't drift agent
Mm-hmm.
too. Use quite a bit of that up this year, so. The first year, of course, when we ordered it, we didn't know exactly what we're gonna need, so we ordered
Mm-hmm.
extra. We have some plateau that we aren't really gonna be using, so I don't know if we can do with that. I think it's more restricted, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 240 and Tordon's the safest as far as, you just can't spray it on water, you know, standing water or in a drainage area, but that's probably the easiest.
It'd be nice if it would do a better job on those little trees.
Yeah,
They've been spraying more trees, trying to close it down.
Gotta get to the top of them if you're gonna kill them.
Trees only die by accident, you can't kill them on purpose.
it takes a little prolonged effort, you know, you gotta, if you keep the leaves off them for 2 growing seasons, typically that will.
Turn them under.
You gotta keep them from taking in nutrients, and then it isn't the growing season that kills them, it's the winter that kills them. Because they can't take in anything to sustain through the winter. Or to start up next spring, I should say.
Seems like when it's wet like this, they get big in a hurry.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're tough.
And I bought 6 totes of liquid asphalt. So we're gonna be sealing cracks after we get done with the rain, and it isn't 90 degrees out.
Right.
They're doing some graveling, spot graveling right now. Couple guys. So the bridge, they're gonna start working on the Dow Bridge this next week, maybe on the 10th, Tuesday. And they figure it's gonna take about 14 days, depends upon the weather. Get done.
Does Louise know this is coming? I guess I haven't talked to her.
Well, I'm sure they'll talk to her about,
Okay.
you know, the right of way and different things like that, and I think they're gonna make, they have to put in a bypass or
Well, they do?
for the water to run.
Oh, but not a bypass for traffic.
No, not for traffic.
'Cause where does Louise work? Is she in town here?
No.
Hospital?
Isn't she with hospice? It's
She works
like
for
kind of in the
hospice.
Mayville area,
Huh?
I think.
She worked for hospice.
Oh, so she goes east anyway?
Yeah, I think it's like in the Mayville area.
Oh, okay.
Does most of it.
I haven't visited with her for a while.
Because that bridge is south of her driveway? Yeah.
Right, south. But Gary's gonna have to go the long way too, but it isn't as far for him.
She can go up to the Finley, cut across, if she's going east.
Yeah.
How long will it take for it to be completed?
They said about 14 days.
It isn't a big
Bad.
deal. When they did that one up by Danny Odegaard's, I went around that one and that actually took less time than they thought it was going to, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sure.
They were still making we had a pre-conference meeting last Thursday, I think it was. And they were making the pipe at that time. They hadn't completed it yet. So they were hoping to get it done. And it's a double pipe, so there isn't 2 pieces. It's, and it's sections. So it'll go pretty fast once they get the ground doubled out. Have to work around the fiber optic, and there's a water line there too, but the water line's deep enough, I guess.
Do they even know where that's at? Sometimes that's a questionable deal.
Well, the day we met, and the contractors and talked to Dakota Water and MLGC, went up to talk to them. So they're gonna be there when they start excavating, so they can
Okay.
move the fiber optic, if they can drop it down or whatever they have to do. And water, I can't remember the name of the guy, thought it was deep enough, it wouldn't.
Stu Golix.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because I put in a water service right across the road from Everbigasaw's,
Okay.
and they came out there and started digging to expose their plant to put in a hydrant there for those pastures. They were digging on the wrong side of the road. Those maps that they have aren't, that contractor that put that water in didn't follow the maps too good.
You use the Jim Bakke method, start digging and see what happens.
I could have built a house there. I had a big enough hole for a basement.
Wow.
We'll just fix it if we got it.
So,
Anyway, yeah, in the packet, there's an email from Brian Fuchs. They were applying for a drill grant application to the federal government. And they wanted people to apply for the replacement of a bridge. They have a list of bridges there, and our Decker Bridge was on there. And so I asked him about, well, what about, there's other bridges within 20 miles? He said, well, that doesn't apply in this type of a project. So that wouldn't be a discouraging factor. There's a lot of bridges and there's only 25 million. But it's a share, 20% local match, 80% federal. So in my budget, I did change it a little bit to add 50,000 in there, and that may be used as part of the matching funds for that 10% match. The project won't be done until 2020. With that project, there also was testing, but I don't think they'll be testing our bridge because the tonnage was so low, it's at like 6 tons. So they sent a letter, which I have typed out, and put in Troy's name at the bottom. Addressed to Elaine J.O., Secretary of Transportation. And at the end of it says that we are willing to participate with the 20% funded match.
so that's a commitment then?
You don't have to, but in order to get in the game, you have to apply.
Yeah, but we're not locked in right now.
You're not locked in.
So
Won't be locked in. I mean, and this just says that you're applying for the.
And if there's 25 million available nationally, the chances of being.
That's just for that's North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
but that's still not many bridges.
It's only 25 or less.
And just to be clear, it wasn't put into the budget just for that bridge, and it was put into the budget because when we were doing the road budget, we underestimated the expenditures, so we were only levying 27.8 mills. And the citizens instructed us 30 mills is a maximum, so Wayne put the 50,000 in the road and bridge fund. And the program then, we have 45, we're gonna put 50. The program then will adjust it so that we come out right at 30 mills on the overall levy. We just don't know what a mill's gonna be worth yet. So right now it shows us that we're 602,305.47 is what we should levy. Well, if that was 20 mills, we couldn't levy that. So the program would drop it down to whatever 30 mills is worth. Correct? Yeah. Okay. So again, it wasn't put in there specifically for this bridge, but it gives the ability then to apply for the bridge funds.
No, I think it'd be a good deal. We could have that opportunity.
And then if, in talking with Wayne, if the money isn't spent in this year's budget, what money's left over, we were going to add to the reserve for the following year?
Yeah.
So that we have, that's one way we can add the reserve up to the point where if we have federal projects or projects that need our participation, we have some money there.
And like this fall, we'll be going to Bismarck again to maybe talk about the chip seal on the Sutton Road. And so then we need money to match that, and that would come out of that reserve then too.
Oh, sure.
We'll see if we can borrow something. you know, for future, some future federal funding, because there isn't enough there right now to do
Right.
the 80%.
And nothing's for certain, but as these oil prices rebounding, it's possible that the state might have a little bit of money to put back into the county coffers.
Right.
Or they might do more bridges, their thing. Who knows what they'll do.
Yeah. Let's hope not. Let's hope they leave it as much up to this, up to the local entities as possible. Money coming with an earmark doesn't do us much good if it's something you just spend it because even though you spend it to spend it, you know, we don't need it. It's better if we can put it where we need to put it. I believe it gives the road department more flexibility. So anyway, that was old. I know Wayne's got to get going. That pretty much covers his budget, right?
We'll probably need a motion to participate in this North Dakota Build Grant program.
I'll move.
Moved by Mark to send in the 2018 Build Grant application. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Yeah, I will send that, the letter goes to the DOT. But if you
I saw that.
sign the letter, then we'll deliver it.
I signed it, yep.
So, okay,
Are you gonna give it to?
I'll get it mailed to them or faxed to them.
Will you get a copy for me?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Excuse me.
Is David handy?
He's just in his office.
Thank you. You're up.
You're up, that's no problem.
Yeah.
There's a bridge on the list here that was built in 1885.
Where's
That
that?
bridge was, or
Northwest of Portland.
when was this one built? Does anybody know?
1912.
1912, that one was?
Hey, David.
Good afternoon.
How's it going?
Okay, just about done on the last classes I have to take.
Oh, is that right?
Doing it online.
Are you here to talk about the medical marijuana policy, or?
No.
Okay, just wondering.
Oh, no.
Haven't been making us that goofy bread again. That's probably all right.
So I experimented with the whole herb bread. But that's just
What
rosemary
is this
and
bread
thyme.
require a prescription?
Yeah, I think so.
It did write something up.
Old Courthouse is what you were on the agenda for.
Yeah, Sam said you guys wanted to talk about that, and that's about all I know.
Need somebody to clean it.
Yeah.
Good housemaid. What do you guys want to know or discuss, or what has been discussed?
Would like someone to explore the process that we would go through to try to get permission to tear it down. Because that's what the people have asked us, have voiced their opinion on what to do. So we need to explore that process, and I noticed in your article in the Courier, which is a very good article, you kind of went through the steps on what it would take to do that.
Yeah, I talked with the Lorna Mining Rights for the Historical Society. Yeah.
Yeah. So, being you'd done the research already, it was logical that we'd ask you if we could hire you to try to walk through that process and see what the eventual answer would be.
Let's think about this.
You can think about it, David.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't have to
Make
answer it
any
all.
decision today.
I have no idea how much work it'll be.
Well, I'm just guessing here, I imagine it's also the amount of work, but it's also personally how you would feel about slaughtering one of your own children. So to speak, metaphorically.
Let's see, well, yeah, cause just kind of initial reaction, I don't know if I'd wanna be involved with the, like, decision to tear it down. I can share a bit about what I learned through the research that didn't make it through everything on the article. Cause kind of from what I understand for this situation, from when I talked with Lorna, at kind of the top of the pyramid of decision making of what happens to the courthouses with the federal agency, it's the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, and you think of the chain of command of County Commission, of Historical Society, the federal agencies at the top that they have to give. They're the ones that would make that final call on whether the county could demolish it, because demolition is that adverse effect on historic property. So they're at the top of the.
So do you start at the top or the bottom?
Bottom. They tried it once, and we got all the paperwork where they tried it. So, yes, the decision comes from the top, but at any one of these steps up through there, if any one of these agencies disagrees, the decision from the top is no.
Well, I think from what I understood from when I talked with Lorna, like when I asked her about like the repayment of the just shy of the $1 million grant,
Right.
she said like it's a possibility. It's not. She didn't give me a straight answer. Yes, the county would absolutely have to pay that $900,000. She said it's, but she wouldn't say straight out no that they wouldn't have to. That from what I understand, it would be the result of a mediation between all the major players, the county, historical society, if there's a group with citizens within the county, that it takes everyone talking it out to reach a decision. Whether any one of them has veto power, I'm not, because the historical society would be advising the federal agency on what decision to make. From what it sounded like, I don't know what was tried before from the previous commission. She said because the demolition is always a adverse effect, like you can't get around that. So if that's to happen, they would, for them to give their approval, she made it sound like the county would have to have a pretty detailed plan about what that demolition would look like. It couldn't just be say, hey, we want to demolish the courthouse. They would need to see I don't know whether that would come through having a construction company or contractor given an estimate, a quote for what that demolition looks like. What is the property going to be used for afterwards? Costs. The federal agency would require a pretty detailed plan from the county before they would give their approval. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that they would give that approval to demolish it, but the county would need to probably hire out get quotes from NEMIT, come up with a plan of you'd have a big empty open space. What sort of what does that look like for the county?
So when they tried it before, and if you talk to Ron, we've got the documentation. It's on his website. To find it is a little bit harder. But
Yeah,
before the county board said no, and those, so then it's similar to, how would I Oh, it's similar to the tax equalization process. So if you go before the township board and they say no, when you come before the county board is gonna say, well, the township board said no, we're gonna say no, and you go before the state and the state's gonna say, well, the other two said no, we also say no. That's the same thing that appears to happen here. Any one of those lower entities say no, the entity above it says, well, we don't see anything that should overrule that, so we say it's no, and the federal just takes everything into account and renders a decision because they're the ones that are administrating the funds. So the people that you have to influence are at the bottom end of this. They're the ones that have to agree. With their agreement, it'll probably go forward. With their disagreement, there's no use taking it to the federal because the federal is not going to have any reason to side with
Sure.
the county.
The local historical society is not, they're not elected positions, are they?
No. No.
No, you guys
No.
appoint them.
Huh?
I think you guys appoint them.
No. No. You just go find somebody with a pulse and take your spot. That's kind of how that works.
But nevertheless,
Yeah.
that's a process, and it got fairly involved. I mean, it even got where they had an assistant attorney general have a decision on it. That's part of that's in the paperwork that we have.
I mean, they got permission to tear off the addition.
Correct.
That was it.
That's correct.
But if you take that addition off, the remaining footprint's not very big. That building doesn't have a very big footprint. I mean, you're talking about wide open space when you're done or whatever.
Yeah, the addition isn't. I mean, it's not real big. It's
But I
just
think in order to do that, I think they wanted to go back to pre-addition
that's correct.
architecture, so we have to.
But it doesn't matter. We got to try. So whatever
See what steps.
course
We
of
have
action
to
would be required. That's what we need to follow through with that. And so we need someone to advise us on how to do that.
Yeah. And to find out what steps we have to do. And
But
how
no
properly.
matter how you do this, you're going to participate in the lynching if eventually gets torn down. Whether you're the jury or the executioner, it's either way. It's
Yeah. I'll
you're involved.
Think about it some more. Yeah. I think.
But you're just fact checking for us.
Yeah. See what the steps are. Yeah. Regardless, I think the historical society would need a pretty detailed plan from the county about what
The national or the state?
State,
the state.
county, to start with.
But the county probably would have less stringent requirements. At the county level, it's gonna be whether you proceed as the citizens have requested through the vote, or if you vote with your own personal feelings.
And being or not, the county level is what held it up, is what didn't allow it to be built on the north side of the old courthouse. That wasn't the state, that was the county that did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the county was the one that did that, the state then enforced that. Or agreed with it,
Okay.
and passed that on to the federal, and they were the ones that denied the grant until it was put on the south side.
I'm not sure whether another vote would be required formally on demolition or not. I tried to get a straight answer out of Lorna. I guess cause I told her what the wording of the ballot measure was, and whether if there was overwhelming support, would the historical society take that into consideration and give approval, or like what level of support would from the public? But she said she couldn't really say.
Lorna.
Meininger, the person at the state.
Oh, that's.
Because I said, like, if it's a 50-50 vote, then I mean that shows pretty divided. You probably wouldn't give the approval. But say if it was
Right.
75%, 70% that voted to approve the ballot measure, that would signify
Well, see,
the public wanted.
Right, at the point we're at now is just, we were trying to find out the will of the people. So the majority of people want us to move forward with the process and explore what it would take to do it. If we got to that point, we would absolutely need another vote. Because we'd have to
Well,
ask
there'd be
for.
costs involved.
We'd have to, we'd have to ask for funding capability to do it. It's not gonna, that's gonna be a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I mean.
Could be, we don't know.
I mean,
There will be some cost.
if we had approval from the powers that be, then we could move forward with finding out what the cost was gonna be.
Well,
We might
So I
have
think
to
you
do
need
it,
Find out the,
we
you
might
need
have to
find
do
out
it,
what the projected cost for demolition would be before you get, that's part of getting, I think, the approval from,
so it might have to be done at the same time.
yeah, I don't think the state or federal are gonna give approval unless the county has an estimate of what those costs would be.
but why should that, I don't get the impression from reading what was done before that cost had anything to do with it, because the state and the federal weren't involved with any cost sharing for it anyway.
No, but when I was talking, this is from my conversation with Lorna, she made it sound like that for the Historical Society to give go ahead with demolition, they wanted to see what an actual plan for demolition would look like.
Right.
That's what she
Yeah.
was.
But she was talking about documenting the historical.
Attributes of the building?
Right, so it involved keeping parts of the building intact. That was why the steeple was involved before. It involved very detailed photography of the building. It involved a very detailed history of the building being put into some
Sure.
form that was available to the public, and then it involved having that all displayed somewhere or open to the public so that they could actually relive the history of the courthouse.
Sure.
I think from going through the documents before, that's the detail they were looking for, not so much the cost of it, but how you were going to preserve it once the building wasn't there. Now, a bureaucrat will tell you anything they want sometimes, but that's what we got before, and because they had that, they were going to have big murals photographing it. They were going to that was going to be done, and still they didn't get permission to do it.
So,
But
Okay.
gotta try,
yeah. See what happens.
right? But I don't think the raw cost involved is a matter to them, unless that's changed somehow, and I can't imagine why.
Right.
Because I'm sure the museum would want some parts of it too, to put in the Grace County Museum.
Right.
You certainly would think so.
Turn that around and put the Griggs County Museum in the courthouse.
Yeah, we talked about that too. We talked about that too.
Don't need permission from the federal government to tear down the Griggs County
Those
Museum.
little ones.
What would it cost per year for maintenance wise for, if you had some sort of other entities in there?
Well, it needs some work right now, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs a lot. I think it needs the gutters cleaned out.
There's a bunch of soffit that's rotten.
Yeah, needs some soffits.
and
Yep.
even
Pigeons are flying in and out of that steeple up
Yeah,
there.
but I mean, that isn't, and it needs a sealant put on the brick. That would be but there is a sealant, you can put on it now.
Right.
Spray it on.
And whether, I don't know if it,
10% of the bricks replaced.
Well, if you tuck point it, but Ron found a process where they don't tuck point it anymore. They spray on a polyurethane, and just it'll lock it where it's at. It'll stop any moisture intrusion, and that's really what tuck pointing does.
Oh, yeah, no, I think if
Windows
someone
are
was in
shot.
favor of coming
Yeah,
to
but
do something to it,
You
or
can go.
we'd be all in favor of that too.
It can go a long time if you just stop the water intrusion.
Oh, yeah.
Windows are shot, but if you're not, the windows have been shot, and it costs what, $6,000 a year to heat it. So it isn't. It wouldn't take a whole lot of money.
didn't you read that article in the paper today
What?
from the Herald?
No.
There's toxic coal dust in there.
We got something in common with West Virginia then. Whole state's that way, isn't it?
I don't know where that verbiage came from out of that article in the Grand Forks Herald.
I didn't read it.
We made the Herald again today.
No, they reprinted it in the Squeak today.
Mm.
It says in 2010 they discovered toxic mold, coal dust, and asbestos, and lead in the paint.
What a discovery.
So somebody was chewing on the woodwork and getting lead in their system.
Well, nevertheless, it was never shut down by the health department. There was,
I know,
No.
that was
Yeah.
my point, John.
Yeah, I know. That
Anyway.
seems like really rehashing something that's already done.
Yeah, yeah.
Or not done.
But we
Not
just
done.
need you to investigate for us, I guess. Isn't that what we're looking for?
If he so chooses.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
we'll see.
I mean, we're not gonna, we'll let you think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't need
So,
until
do we
2
wanna,
o'clock anyway.
do we wanna go through David's budget just right away so he can just be done
Yeah, we
today?
could do that. Was he even on the?
I don't think
He wasn't even on the list.
Oh,
You guys didn't have any issues with his.
oh, we didn't have any questions. So, we're done.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, David.
Can I please have you boys go back to the road department? We got a bid for their tin on their building. I forgot to
Oh,
say something.
Just one?
We only have one.
Was it advertised?
Yeah,
mhm.
Oh,
Wayne did it. Wayne put the advertisement in.
I mean, I'm just wondering if there's requirements.
I think it got in for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Was the bid opening advertised for today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. So I can do that. You can go ahead.
Who'd you get the bid from?
Cash and carry. Cash and carry lumber in New Rockford.
You Rockford, oh. That's nice.
And Wayne kind of thought that they would be the only ones that would.
Wayne Anderson Construction.
What was the budget amount we had for that?
Is it on the 100,000? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon over there.
I wish.
Yeah, it's most.
I wish that was the case.
I got something going on.
Gonna get washed.
I'll be able to.
So what I have here is $37,130.89, unless you want to Tyvek, then you add $2,362. And that include, well, the 2,362 says additional items not listed in scope of work but optioned out. Tyvek, cap nails, Tyvek tape and labor add 2,362.46. So if you did that, Be $39,493.35. I don't know why you'd put siding on the building and not use tieback.
Was there foam insulation under this?
4x8 by 1.5 inch Certifoam
There
board.
we go. So they're gonna put purlins on it.
Strip it,
Strip
yeah.
it and put foam board. So 2x4s on there?
And they're putting tieback on?
They can.
They will.
Then that's what they're
That's
talking about,
That
tieback?
would be an extra 2,300.
Two by four girts, 1.5 inch Certifoam,
There we go.
brown 26 gauge commercial ARP
Yeah.
panel steel sheeting and trims for a county shop.
And that's the labor also?
The material is $18,630 and the labor's $18,500.
So, the difference between tieback on a stick frame building and tieback on a building that's supposed to be impenetrable to air, there wouldn't really need to be a tieback on there because there shouldn't be any air
Doesn't breathe.
from inside to the outside, but
Yeah.
the only difference is if water gets down in between the brick and then
Steel.
you'd want it to, yeah.
What you're putting in.
Tyvek breathes one way and stops air the other, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So a brick building, hopefully you're not gonna stop anything, or need to stop anything, but. What do you think, Travis? You're kind of a construction guy.
With brick buildings, they'll usually get tied back just for moisture. If it does escape out, it doesn't come back in, so you're not doing the in and out breathing back and forth if something gets trapped.
They don't
Wood-
get
no,
that.
they do get
Oh.
tied back. It's fairly expensive and it's a good insurance policy, I guess, so.
I agree. So I'd make a motion, we accept the bid as presented.
It's been moved by Sean,
With the
John,
addition of the tieback.
to accept the bid from Cash and Carry Lumber with the addition of $2,362.46 for the tieback, cap nails, tape, and labor.
For a total of,
$39,493.35.
correct.
Say that number one more time.
39,493.35.
Thank you so much.
What would be I suppose, it'd be just a guess. What would be your guess that we'll save on fuel?
I think that's gonna be, it's not gonna gain you a giant amount. An inch and a half is 7.5 R value, I think, with foam board. I think it's 5 per inch, but I mean, 7.5 is better than, a cinder block has about the same R value as a pane of glass. I mean, it's nothing.
If that, yeah.
So,
I know I was in there last year and you could just see the frost line in that old storage room that they try to keep at 50 degrees or whatever. And it doesn't take too long, I don't think, with that frost on those blocks. And it isn't a good situation, I don't think.
Sealing up any air as well.
Yeah.
Will be help.
Drafty. Good John, second.
is there a second to the motion?
Yeah.
Who seconded it? I'm
I'll
sorry.
second it.
You did.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Dale? Aye. Mark?
Hi.
Sean?
Aye.
You went to the bathroom.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Now we can move on to budgets. We voted without you.
Yep.
So we're gonna go move on to budget, so we just wanna go one at a time, or what are we gonna do? Samantha?
If you'd like to go one at a time, I'd like that.
We're just gonna do the ones that people are here for first and then go through the rest of them.
Sure.
Sure can.
Whichever you want to do.
It's hard to keep track that way. So. Whichever one, Samantha.
Do you want to do B8 District Court? Or were you guys all right with that? With that, Kelly and I hadn't had the time to get together to divide that out for the salary amount for what the grant was going to cover. So just for levying purposes, to have that sheet come out, I just halved her salary with the 1.58% increase. And so that's in here, so then those numbers can be shifted around between district court and recorder.
Yeah, all it'll be is just a notate. The money won't change. It won't change. It'll just be a designation of how many tenths it is for the.
Right.
Okay.
But it's going to be 1/3 in here, and then the rest in the recorder.
Correct.
And nothing for the benefits part of it, since that's all in just one thing. Or are you wanting me to separate that out as well?
It should be separated out just because we do everything else that way.
Okay.
Don't you almost have to if they're gonna fund 0.3 FTE? Because the benefits and stuff need to be taken into account for that anyway, don't they?
So it's probably not going to fund 0.3. It's probably going to fund whatever the money from the state will support as far as an employee goes with benefits.
Okay.
So it might be 0.28 or whatever it might be.
Okay.
Oh, they give us the number?
They give us a dollar amount.
Oh, they do, okay. I
And
thought
the
it
dollar
was-
amount is for employees and employee and supplies and things like that. But we were just gonna do the
Okay,
employee part of it
sure.
and break it down just for simplicity's
Okay.
sake. Because supplies is, I mean, it's hard to really determine that, but the
Right.
employee is a hard number.
Okay.
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 Did you want to do mine, or did you want to do the other people that are here first?
You may as well try and break the ice.
Okay. So. What questions did you have about mine, I guess? I know there was a discussion about the deputy. I do have them in here as a full-time deputy with getting the 1.58% increase raise.
So there has been discussion over the years on trying to somehow combine some services, deputy services throughout the departments, many different plans, and so far we haven't settled on any one of them. I was always comparing this to the amount of work that needed to be done and how many hours or how many people that would take to do that. so strictly from a business standpoint. It was pointed out to me, and I think correctly so, that the citizens are owed a certain amount of services, and without a contingency to those services, we're probably doing a disservice to the taxpayers. And by that I mean is what happens, and it's kind of contrary to how the whole process works. These are elected officials. Anybody should be elected and step into the position. In the real world, that's not how it works. In these small counties, what happens is the bureaucracy ends up training
The
the
replacement.
replacements. Again, that's against the way I think things should go, but unfortunately, I think that's the only way it really works in a small county like this, because how else does someone step in here without knowing anything? And then if they don't know anything, who ends up training them? And what is what's the price that then the citizens pay for having that happen? So if you take that into account, then not only do we need 2 employees to do all the work that needs to be done? I don't think we do. I think it could be done with a lesser amount of people. Do we need 2 employees to ensure contingency in the office? And I believe we do. So then you have to weigh those 2 together to decide where you go from here. And I've come to the opinion that, at least for now, that the contingency probably outweighs the lack of work.
The only thing that I do disagree with John is that I do believe that the office does need a full-time deputy for work purposes, with the legislation adding the due date for the budget to be up. I now have to do levies twice a year instead of the one time a year. And budget has now been pushed up in the time frame as well. So the office is very busy, but
Alan, I think if we cut your offices back to half-time employees without benefits or something like that,
They wouldn't be without benefits.
it wouldn't
If
be-
if they were the same employee.
But what kind of employee do we get? Now we're getting good employees because they wish to have benefits, those sorts of things. Easier to employ a full-time employee than a part-time employee as far as quality of worker. At least that's what I find out.
Well,
You'd have a full-time employee working in 2 different places.
right.
Cross-training with 2 different offices so that you would have a contingency if in fact somebody left or didn't run or got beat.
Sure.
The 2 part-time employees was trying to force consolidation.
Okay, you're not gonna have two.
Well, we can't make that decision.
Yeah.
So that was the
So
purpose
that's
of us trying to force
That's the
consolidation.
conundrum. That's what I think should happen. That doesn't always matter what Troy thinks. See.
Yeah. So that's really the options on what everybody believes is needed,
Right. Hi, Megan.
taking into account not only the workload, but the continuation of the office.
Right. So.
And this takes into account, that argument is both for the auditor and the recorder.
Do we approve each budget
we'll have to approve these, I would say, that are in question.
Individually.
Separately, I would say.
Okay, and then we're talking about the auditor's budget now.
Right.
Yeah.
Page
I make a
9.
motion to approve the auditor's budget as presented.
Been moved by Mark to approve the auditor's budget as presented. Is there any discussion, or is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Nay.
Sean? Aye. Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Treasurer? We don't have a question on the treasurer. Right?
Did you want to talk about the state's attorney's budget? Jamie's not
He
here.
left.
He left.
We got a sheriff and we got an IT guy. We got Megan.
So the recorder's budget.
You guys didn't know that was a practice? If you don't want to talk about it, just take it.
Try that
Recorder?
next time.
It won't work. What now?
Recorder's budget.
We've already, I mean, so we've done the clerk budget already, right?
Correct.
So this one's probably it's ditto, right? Or what?
This one was kind of the same deal as mine, so I didn't know if you wanted to make a motion for
Okay.
theirs as well.
Right.
And which page is that on?
B12.
B12. Well, Kelly, you're kind of the one that this affects. What do you think?
I have a couple projects coming up. Kind of same thing with Sam, you know, year to year, things change. Of course, we've got the big digitizing project that we have. One part of that I don't think I've discussed with you guys is, every month our abstractor purchases the images that so if we have, like last month we had 54 documents recorded, so she purchases those documents and images every single month. So I had a conversation with her just recently, inquiring if she was interested in purchasing as we go. And she is interested in that. So we've got that digitizing project coming up, and you know, I don't know how many years.
I thought everything was digitized already.
It is, it's digitized.
It's not. It's not indexed.
The image is in the program, but we have to go into every single, and there was just about 95,000 documents that were imported
Right.
in November.
So these need to be indexed. Is that the issue?
Yep, so I have to go in grant or
Right.
grantee, document date, consideration,
Right.
class, legal description, for, I think, it was close to 200,000 images, but 95,000 documents.
And that
so-
goes back to the beginning of time. then?
Yep, yep.
So
So the abstractor is interested in purchasing those as we go, like she is right now. So we've still got that.
as you go backwards, you mean?
Yep, because right now I'm solid from right now, solid to 2003, and it's sporadic to 93.
Right.
So I'm gonna fill in 2003 to 93, and then.
So
Yeah,
that's
my-
been that hasn't changed for 3, 4, 5 years, has it?
As far as what?
The amount of documents that you can research in historically.
No, not backwards. No.
I didn't think so.
No.
So that's going to change now.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna be a slow process because she wants to purchase them. Whereas before, I was just gonna start with, okay, this is the next document not done, and do everything in that book. Because let's say it's a mortgage, so it could go mortgage deed, you know, this. So now I have to grab the mortgage book, look at that, make sure all the images are there. Go to the next document. Oh, that's a deed. Grab that book. Whereas, but you know, it's
But if she's got
she's gonna purchase it, so.
if she has an abstract on her desk, she doesn't need 93's entries because she's already looking at it.
No, she wants them. She would like to purchase them. Because she probably doesn't have the images. She has probably indexed in hers what they are, but, and I honestly can't say how far back that goes, but they come here every week, every Wednesday usually. They come and they do a research for all the abstracts that they're updating.
From New Rockford.
Yep. So, she did purchase, like I said, I think it was $10,000 She purchased worth of images from us, I think in 2012 it was.
So you're giving her images, or you're giving her files?
Images and data. So it's 50 cents per image and 10 cents per,
Why doesn't she
Sorry.
just pay the 25
50
bucks to end in?
50 cents for the document and 10 cents per image. So if it's a one-page document, it's 60 cents. I think she does have Endrin also,
I would
but
think.
since she owns the abstract office, they're trying to get a complete history of the entire county.
Oh, well.
So that's kind of changed the way I'm gonna do that digitizing, so I don't know if doing it that way is gonna take longer, but at least it's a money-making project, at least I can, look at it that way. The other project,
She might have put herself out of business anyway here last month.
what's that?
Well, there never used to be title insurance available in Griggs County, and she gave them such a big number on doing all those abstracts that they went and got title insurance.
Yeah,
She
I
might not
know.
do much abstracting anymore.
Well, she owns the abstract, she owns Griggs County, nobody else can do abstracting for her, I mean.
You need an abstract
Well,
if
if
you
you
got
wanna
title
go to
insurance.
the title insurance route,
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot of people that have their abstracts
No,
outdated,
I know,
but-
I know.
So.
I'm just saying, if
Like,
somebody
yeah.
loses their abstract, they're not gonna go get a new one built.
No, let's get title insurances. I mean, that's how it's done in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on each bank, however they want it done too, and whatever.
Oh, it's not up to the bank,
But,
really?
I think some laws had changed in that, and, because they used to do it, and then they stopped a few years ago, so I don't know, I thought something changed and it was, I don't know if it was the requirements or the cost to do it, I don't remember what it was exactly, but they got out of doing closings. Or do they do still closings? Can't remember. Anyways, the other big project that I would like to do, I think it would be a great benefit to the citizens or veterans. So when the state took over the funding for the clerk's office, they pushed all the non-judicial duties over to the recorder side. So I do all the marriages, the DD 214s, the coroner records. So I have the DD 214s for the veterans, so I would like to image them. We have 2 thick books, so I work with Dennis if he has a veteran come in, and we look for that DD 214 so he can fill out for his benefits. So I imaged all of the marriage license, so now I don't have to go get the book, look under the tab, go find the file. We type in their name, marriage license pulls up. I'd like to do the same thing into DocuPro with the DD 14s. So we can just type in the veteran's name and his image pops up right there. It streamlines it, gets rid of doing some of that stuff in the books. E-recording. I don't know if you've done any e-recording yet, but that is, we're in the process right now of all the recorders across the North Dakota are hopefully by the end of this year or the middle of next year, all accepting e-recordings. That is basically somebody in an abstract office or in a bank can upload their mortgages and have it transferred over to our office, and we would then look through it same way we do now, accept it, reject it, they do payments through there, so it's all electronic. I think I'll start out accepting only satisfactions and mortgages, because the deed part would require the auditor's office to purchase a module and get trained on that. So I'm gonna start with just mortgages, satisfactions, and slowly move into, until I really know what I'm doing. So I've worked with, Travis has worked with Endrin, the IT, so I think we've got the server part of things, don't we, Travis, have that all set? So I'm just waiting for, they were doing on my halves half, so I'm in the second half of 2018 to do the training and get the modules set up. The other thing with the clerk side that is, I'm doing the community service. The state is not paying me to do the community service. They came a couple years ago, and I think the contract was like $3,000 for us to sign up for an outfit out of Stutzman County to handle that. So I'm handling that instead. So that's just another duty that's not technically clerk of court that I'm not getting funded for, so, if I lost my deputy, that'd definitely be something we would have to look at employing that outfit to do that.
So do you cross-train the deputy in both the recorder's duties and the clerk of courts?
Yes, yep, absolutely. If I have to be gone for something I need, I'm definitely gonna know what to do.
Do they have to have some kind of certification to do the clerk's duties if you're kind of a broken leg or something? Or
No, they sign an oath.
okay,
We do oath and I train
you
them.
just have to, they just gotta know what needs to be done.
Yep, they have to go through, do
They don't have,
training.
there's no certification or anything like that.
No, it's just all through training classes. We have classes throughout the year, things like that, whatever comes up. Right now, the only thing I don't have my deputies do is the financial part. I just feel that that's important, that the department head is in charge of the month-end reports and making sure the financials are all. I do have a procedure. If I were to flop tomorrow, she could just open that book and go from A to Z, and she'd be able to make it through. Maybe with some phone calls, so.
I've called a lot of things flopping.
It's a nice way of saying it. If I meet my demise.
There you go.
So, those are just some things that we have coming up in the recorder side that I find exciting. I think it's good. And it's gonna help financial parts of things as well.
I agree that those things need to be done. But there hasn't been much progress made in the past few years. So if I was to agree with your proposal, I would propose, for lack of a better word, that be part of the monthly office report so that we have an idea of what's going on.
And if I can just say, the images were just imported in November, and my deputy was on maternity leave in November, so there was nothing I could do before that. I was just sitting waiting in line for them to get to me, so my hands were kind of
I
tied
remember
there.
that. But I mean,
there are
that
times
can be
when-
part of the office, the monthly office report too. We're waiting.
Right.
Yeah, I'm shorthanded. We knew you were shorthanded.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it would have been handy. There were times where it's like, okay, we're caught up right now. We could be doing that.
Right. And I forgot that those images weren't available to you.
Yeah, I
That's
don't-
my 10 cents.
Yeah, you weren't imposing a quota, you just wanted to be updated on what was going on, as far as the office.
I'm not gonna set goals. I don't
Right.
know
Yeah.
how busy they are.
Right, yep,
I just wanna know what happened.
yep, no, that's reasonable. Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't wanna work here. And neither,
Not unless
you guys
Mark-
don't want
not
me
unless
to
Mark
either.
gets his
I'm not
way.
very good help.
Not unless Mark gets his way to get paid.
There you go.
That way I don't want to work here either.
We already are.
So I'd make a motion, we accept the recorder's budget as put forward.
Are we accepting at the final allowance on this or as requested amount? Because they're not the same.
With the one that's in the final allowance, that's with the 1.58% raise,
Okay.
and that's at a 4/5.
Oh. So
The final
you're,
allowance is less than the requested. right?
Request, yeah,
Because,
it's not.
because of that little percentage difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're moving the final allowance,
right,
46,369.82.
yeah.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back to Jamie?
No, you can sit here until we're done with the rest.
I don't know if we had any questions on this.
I don't either, but he's on the list, so.
Alright.
I think.
There was,
No, he wasn't.
when I went back to listen to it, it was all the deputies were supposed to be
Oh,
talked about or something, but.
I need to even take a look at my budget, I didn't bring one with, so.
IT, sheriff,
Okay, well, he's reading his budget, we'll talk to
county agent.
Megan.
Not yet.
don't start arguing now, really, what's up, we already gave you.
Why, I don't have enough time to argue anything.
I'll get yours too, Megan.
Which budget's this?
County agent.
Number page, let's see.
C-25.
Number the D, 25.
And then probably the lead boards as well.
Yeah. So the chemical apparently runs through the weed budget?
Correct.
Is that right?
What Megan and
I
I
can't
did
remember.
was for the county agent, we just took the salary amount and used the same as last year and carried that, and then the over that went into the weed budget for her salary.
Where's this at?
County agent was
C-25.
C-25.
C.
And then the weed is C-29. And what you guys have done in the past, or I guess last year, was you just put 60,000 in the weed for expense. I did
That's a statute, isn't it? 3 mils minimum.
yeah.
And it sounds like we're gonna use some of that next year because Wayne indicated they're gonna run out of chemicals, so they're gonna.
For spraying roads.
Okay. But he's been spraying this year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. They're gonna.
He had
go
an
up
inventory,
above.
he had some inventory of,
He had inventory, yeah. So he said next year he's gonna need 6 or 8. You haven't talked to him about it,
No.
apparently. Or he hasn't talked to you. He said that
5,000-6,000.
we should put 6 or 8,000 in there for Tordon for next year.
Rather than just keeping a blanket 60,000
The
at
six,
the bottom.
60,000, I mean, that'll stay in there. That's, that's the statutory minimum.
Yes, in order to get the lap in.
I don't see
The
page
lap.
28A. See page 28A. That's what I mean.
Can I see this? That should be switched, I think, because this is for this is the expense. So it should be,
So the,
I'm sorry.
Here's the revenue here.
Right, this is the revenue and then this is the expense and it's coming from over here. So that, see page 20, it should be 29A. Okay, I can fix that.
Oh,
So we're gonna have like 6,000 or 8,000 requested on the weed budget, is that?
So it's 67 or 68,000?
No,
or are we
no, I don't
staying
think we're
60?
gonna
we
add.
probably don't have to do anything.
I think we're gonna itemize it. We're gonna put a line on C-29 that says chemical, and there we go. So put a line on that says chemical. What did Wayne say? It doesn't matter.
8,000, I think.
Put 8,000 there.
Cause it'll just reduce the other one. to
Then reduce
52.
reduce this other one by this 54,575 by $8,000. So now you get 46,000
Right.
575.
That'll take care of that one.
And I'll take care of that.
Okay.
It'll
And-
give us enough reserve then.
Well, so then we're going to have to levy $19,000. Correct?
I don't have the sheet.
Well, I
The
mean,
fund just has to have that balance to levy amount.
it's got a fund of it's got a negative of
41,000.
41,000. That's not right.
I don't think so.
No, that's not right. Okay, so it carried in 17. It carried a balance of $75,000. In 8, and then we spent 18. We were going to spend it down to 18,000. So the money we get from the state for the chemical comes where?
Lap and tag over on 29A, but there's nothing in there.
We're not in and out.
Right.
And I'll be submitting, and it's due by Monday, and I don't know what the total will be, but I think there's one producer that will get reimbursed.
Oh, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There were, okay, and I think I solved this problem before coming to you guys, but townships. When you have a township spray, the township roads, how is that handled? The township just has to budget for it. They do not get reimbursed by the county.
Right.
So I had Dover Township submit for reimbursement, and I tried to explain to him, like, you can't as a township, it has to be a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was one guy that sprayed all these producers along the road. Well, technically then he should have had a commercial license, and I don't know if he did, but I just said we can't reimburse you for that.
Right.
It has to be the land producer, the landowner, or producer sprayed their own place.
Okay, where's that? It says expense reports from this year. Weed control.
I'm trying to think of how they did that the last time Washburn got a bunch of chemical. But I don't remember. I would have to
But all
talk to
the
Tom.
money that goes to the township comes directly from the state, right? There's nothing that
Well, I
comes.
think what they did was
from the
they
county.
had one person put in for the reimbursement, like they were the producer, and then the rest of the guys in the township came and took what they needed. And I don't know if that's right or not, and I don't remember. I don't even know if that's how it happened, but that's how I remember it happening. But maybe that's
find
not legit. I don't know.
It's in the
They made it
general,
fit
right?
the form.
Nope, it's not.
Right.
That's what you look for.
Weed is on page
Because
17.
if they
17.
did that, I mean, they used the chemical, they controlled the weeds, everybody did their own.
No, not on this.
Shouldn't everybody kind of be happy?
Yeah.
It should be county.
And the township
What's been
roads
spent
got
to
it
date then?
Right.
as a result.
Yeah.
$494.19.
Right.
I've been spraying mine, but I
Okay,
guess
so I
I
got
haven't been for any reimbursement, but
And I
Okay.
think
then
that's
I
what's
don't have very many
been-
miles in the ditch either.
So now I can refresh my memory on this. If you look back on this page 29 then under weed control and go back to the January 1st balance
18,000.
of 2017, it's $80,000,
Yep.
83,000.
Yep.
And then carried over, we didn't spend hardly any, 78,000.
Right.
The reason it's 18,000 and 19 is because we are expecting that we're going to spend the whole $60,000. We're not. We never have. We'll spend
And we
$483.
shouldn't even say we're gonna do that, because it isn't gonna happen.
But we have to do that because of this. The formula must require the county official budgets from revenues derived from the state sources an amount equal to the revenue that could be raised by a levy of at least 3 mills.
Okay.
So we always say that we're going to spend that, we never do, and then we cover it with the carryover.
Last year, what you guys did is you made a action to reduce the prior year's budget.
Sure.
That's
So
right.
that then it,
That's right.
So
She made a note
if
here.
we reduce 18's budget, if we reduce 18's budget, the expenditures at $60,000 to, let's say we reduce it to $5,000, that will kick enough forward so that we won't have to levy anything. And
Additional.
Additional, that's
Right.
correct.
so 5,000 you want, just for,
Just, yeah, that I think that'll be fine.
Okay, I think that fixes that one, right? Anybody have any questions on the county agent as they've presented it and weed? Okay.
So we got the weed control where we put the $8,000 in there and it reduced,
now the,
Reduced, now do we need a motion to reduce 18's budget?
yes, but don't do that yet.
with that being done, if I put estimated expenditures for 2018 at $5,000, you will have a remaining balance at a positive $13,626.
That's correct. Yep.
So then no
Or
levy
can I
would be
ask where you're
needed.
getting the 5,000 from?
The sky,
It is, we're not gonna spend the $60,000, so we're gonna revise the expenditures.
if you have an idea what that number should be or will be at the end of the year, you can sure help us out there.
Just for what would be coming in from the state.
No, this
No,
is
this-
expenditures, what was spent. So if you look back last year, 17, what was actually spent in 17 was $4,598 out of that account.
And we
Well,
budgeted
then
for
would it
60.
be the 5425 plus 8,000 for weighing?
No, you're talking 19, we're talking 18.
Okay.
We're trying to
We're
move
trying to
money from
predict
a-
what the expenses are gonna be on 12/31 of 18 in the 18 budget to figure out what's gonna carry forward into next year's budget.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then
If you
5,000.
look back here, if you look back into 17, we started 17 with an $83,000 balance. We ended 17 with a $78,000 balance. We had the same $60,000 expenditures in there. We just didn't spend it. So we're trying to project that forward. We don't want to make that change until the end of the year to make sure actually where we're going to go. The actual change, we can put the estimated in there now. We can change that. Because we might have to estimate. But now, has the weed salary come out of there yet? Not yet.
And that's.
In
so,
18,
No,
have you been paid anything?
no.
Okay. So then we better change that then like to $8,000.
But I don't think it will so they're not bumping up that 4060 model until January of 2019.
Oh.
So she won't get paid out of weed until next year.
Okay, then we can leave it at 5. And we can make that change now to the budget, so it's strictly on the up and up. And then we have changed expenditures, and then then we can change it, then that is the estimated budget for 18, and we can move forward with this budget.
Is that a motion?
I would move we adjust expenditures for the 2018 weed control budget to $5,000 from a previously stated $60,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye, motion carries. Okay. Any other questions on Megan's budget? Do you have any questions for us?
Yes.
Okay.
So, the state or the NDSU would like me to meet with the commissioners as a group and also invite the legislatures to a meeting to discuss, I guess, the new model. Do you guys want me to come to a commissioner meeting, or do you want to have a meeting outside of a commissioner meeting? It will take 1 hour.
Somebody from NDSU is going to come, you mean?
I will be in charge of it. But
Okay.
the district director may also sit in.
They've directed you to do this, you mean?
Yes.
Even if we don't have issues? Or does NDSU have issues?
They have issues. They're trying to squeeze the county for more participation. Is the way I see it.
Well, I think their approach is to have you guys, the county commissioners, voice concern to the legislatures, so the legislatures hear your guys' concerns because you're being pinched by the state, not only in this aspect, but other funding items. So if you speak to the legislatures, then hopefully money will be put back
So
into
we're
this.
supposed to get mad.
We're supposed to say that we're pinched, but we didn't fall for that. We didn't
No,
get
Megan
pinched.
helped us out of that.
Megan
pinch.
helped us out of it, so we didn't get pinched. So NDSU is trying to have the county commissioners make their argument for them. Again, if they need more money, they better go to the legislature and get more money, but if NDSU doesn't have any money, we already agreed that we're just gonna reduce the services of the county agent.
Right.
Same as all the rest of the things. I mean, this isn't any different than the clerk of court or the social services. It's the same thing. They want to reduce, the state wants to reduce their
Funding.
funding,
but not
and they
the
want
services.
the county to pick it up.
Right. Why wouldn't they?
So, I mean, you can make a presentation, it's not changing my mind.
Do you want me to do it in a commissioner meeting or
I don't
outside?
care. You can, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I think during a commission meeting. would be
Yeah.
Okay.
fine.
And then you would invite?
The legislatures.
Right.
Okay.
But if you remember, Megan solved this problem for us. She took on extra duties, and we had money there, and it was very noble of her.
Right. And if she spends more time doing that, there will be less time spent doing something else.
Right.
But that's the way life, the cookie crumbles, right? So,
Well, I mean, aren't we just trying to let Megan have a job here?
right, no. I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
I think it's good.
Trying to make things work.
Yeah.
So, okay.
How long do you expect these budget meetings to go to? Because it was anywhere between June 1 to September 30th. So do you prefer a date?
Well, I think we're gonna be done with budget meetings, aren't we?
Next meeting, I would imagine it'll be finalized.
August 10th is the deadline to get this finalized.
How about August 24th? If I try for that
I think
meeting.
it's raining that day, so I'll be able to come in.
But I mean, we have a budget already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we just need to use that budget, and then if you're persuasive enough, I assume if you're persuasive enough, we're expected to up that budget.
No, I'm hoping, or I think what they're hoping is that it goes back to 50-50 with not fringe benefits. But
I see.
Instead of 60-40.
no, the 40-60 is in place for the next biennium.
Right.
So why did they push us to change it if they want to go back to 50-50?
No, they want the legislatures to hear the concern of the county commissioners so that the state gets more money.
We don't have any, no.
But I mean, also it's two different, so before we were acting on behalf of the legislature, and now we're gonna act on behalf of the county, of the NDSU.
They wanna walk the state's plan back to their old.
Right, yeah, so I mean, so,
And they
so,
want us to help them do it.
yeah, but NDSU helped the state get to where we're at now,
Yeah.
and now they wanna walk it back.
I don't know if I'm following you, but
We'll see you on the 24th.
yes. And I probably said things I wasn't supposed to say, but I just wanted to set a meeting.
I think we'd eventually figure it out.
Okay.
You're not gonna be charged with Russian collusion or anything.
Not at this point.
But we'd like to see your
We need to
emails.
talk to George Papadopoulos. Okay,
And they're all about the fair, so I hope to see you next week.
So
Okay.
how's the fair going, by the way?
That's
Got it all
next.
ready to go?
Picking, yeah, I'm hoping.
Okay.
Is there a lot of entries?
Yes.
Lot of
Similar to
livestock?
last year.
Good, good. I don't think they're gonna be able to move their horse barn thing over there to make it into a chicken coop the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get something done.
Yes, that will be after the fair's discussions.
Yep, yep.
All right, thank you.
thanks, Megan.
Did you want to go back to Jamie's budget?
Who's?
Jamie's?
See here?
Is he here now?
He is here.
I don't know, we're kinda busy right now. Another one? That sounds fine with me.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any questions on Jamie's budget.
Jamie, have any questions on Jamie's budget?
No.
B11. Okay. So you're here to talk about the state's recommended policy change, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to go to that now?
No,
Okay.
we, Travis and Wes have been sitting here all
Okay.
morning.
All day anyway, so.
So.
Yeah, I already had it marked okay on the other, on Jamie's other budget. so-
Oh, Mary isn't here, is she? She's not.
No, Mary couldn't make it this meeting. She will be here at next meeting if you would like her to.
Did you guys flip a coin over there? Who's going first? Wes got here first, so he can go first.
Yeah, I had Jamie's budget, we had Jamie's budget marked okay from last time.
Yeah, I know, that's what I thought. I think he was just here because of that policy thing. Have you been in on that discussion?
No.
Oh,
So B19
I
is.
think the only
sheriff's-
thing that we had question on your budget, Wes, was the car.
It's, the line item was the Impala. I don't want it. They're crap.
So I took out Impala and
Why'd you
put the
put it
one
in there?
Where's this at?
B19.
It would be a Durango is what I'm looking to get.
To replace,
The silver, Ram.
and that one's how many miles on that one?
155 about.
So is the 40 number the right number? Or have you checked?
No, I haven't checked. I went off the last one. It's about $1,000 less than Bob's total because Bob had the camera separated into the major equipment. So I just combined it all.
Is that what the trade then? Is this the to boot?
No, that would be to purchase it. They're only like 26,000 for us to purchase them because it's a bid from Chrysler to the state.
I see.
Yeah, so we get them cheaper than what you're gonna.
So this number isn't right.
Well, that's for the equipment that goes into it.
This is a complete car when it's done.
I see.
Striped.
The cage, computer mounts, siren control, siren lights, everything.
None of that stuff comes out of the old one.
It's all old and doesn't, sometimes the lights work, sometimes they don't. I think the cheapest route on this one is probably just throw a light bar on top of it and get new controllers, and then next time we get a new car, we can just swap that stuff in, because all our equipment's getting pretty old. We do swap up, okay. Go from vehicle to vehicle, try to use as much as we can, so.
So you think it's gonna cost 14,000 up to out? Wowie, kapowie.
I mean, I think Bob had it for 32 last year, and then that 10 or 9 grand for the camera system. So, I mean, Steele County buys their cars off the lot for 50 grand, so plus equipment, so we're still under what a normal.
Is this a double cage deal? So
Yeah, it'd be
one behind-
across the whole car, not like what she has now or what I have in my car. It'd be so they can more than one in there.
Yeah.
It would set up just like the Explorer is set up. And the camera can't come out of that car and go into a different one. It's old, and then it's also built in. It's not a split unit. So the windshield you have is already small in a Dodge, and then you put the overhead that sometimes doesn't work, sometimes works. I mean, we had a case just a couple weeks ago where we tried to get a video and it wouldn't download off the camera. The Ford is a 115, and we all have talked about it, and most of us have agreed that we need to get on a rotation. We can wait another year, but at some point we're gonna be at the point where we're gonna need,
More than one.
yeah, and at some point we're gonna have to start the rotation.
Right.
I think we can get 160 out of them, boy, that's a pretty good number. If we can get 160,000 out of a vehicle.
Well, gotta expect to get that out of a vehicle nowadays.
But that one's got a new engine also.
Yeah.
That one just, got a brand new engine 5 years ago. I don't remember.
Wasn't that long ago, I don't think you went close here. I haven't been there for 5 years. You guys haven't been
Terry
there
was
for 5
alive
years.
when that happened.
What's that?
Terry was alive when that happened.
Yeah, no, he was driving it, wasn't he?
That probably was 2015.
I got my concealed carry from him,
Hmm.
and that is, so he didn't die more than 4 or 5 years ago, then, right?
And he's trying to coolant, I think, out of the old one or something.
I guess I have something to say about Wes's budget as far as his cameras or his cars. I don't know, you guys know I'm probably not quite as conservative as you guys, but I come from a family that's awfully conservative. The new cameras are also equipped with body cameras, and I think that's an important thing. And
So you guys don't have any body cameras?
I know it's a big
No, we've been
investment.
switching over with the new system.
Nelson County is going to the new system.
So they go wireless to the car then?
Yeah, so right now.
So there's 2 channels on the recorder in the car?
No, yeah, kind of. What we have right now is the car's mic, and then we have a mic on our person, so the microphone would just turn into a camera. So the mic and the camera would feed off each other, and it would send the audio also back to the SWAT camera. So you'd be hearing what the officer's saying, what the person's saying, and then if we throw a person in the back, we're also audio recording what they're saying. So everything's covered.
I think we had crappy standalone body cameras up in Nelson County that would work sometimes. Sometimes they would have a video, sometimes they would have audio. But Nelson County is doing the same thing. But those body cameras have saved the county a bunch of trouble with issues with law enforcement officers as far as
He said, she said?
he said, she said kind of situations.
Right.
I think it makes officers safer. It makes my job a heck of a lot easier and a lot less time consuming if you can say, hey, this is what this person did and it's actually on video. We had a DUI trial that we were supposed to go to trial last week, and they couldn't get the video. It would have shown a guy passed out in his pickup sitting at a stop sign. And instead, we didn't have that to show it. It was of no consequence because the case settled. But it probably would have been a heck of a lot easier had we been able to show that the kid was passed out, head down. I know it's a big investment, but I think it's an important thing for the county, liability wise, and and work-wise for the deputies and safety-wise for the deputies.
You know, the deputies, everyone typically acts a little bit better when they're on camera. The deputy's gonna, the person that we're dealing with, gonna, unless they're totally intoxicated, and that's just gonna help us. So, I mean, you're gonna get a more respectful person that you're dealing with if they know that they're on camera. And in turn, I mean, it should help the situation.
No, I think we've talked too about even evaluating officers and how to improve their ability to dealing with the public and those sorts of things, to be able to watch those things and critique each other.
Mhm.
And it's you know, like piggybacking on what Mark said, there have been deputies that have done stuff that wasn't supposed to be done when they were off on their own, and the cameras caught it, and they're no longer law enforcement. They were doing stuff that they weren't supposed to be doing. So I think it's an important thing to have. In trying cases, one of the things that we ask juries during jury selection is if they watch CSI, because everybody thinks that there needs to be physical evidence, and without a video, it's kind of a big deal, and it's tough to get people to believe what everybody's testifying to all the time.
So is the camera on whenever the vehicle's on?
The camera, I think you can go back and get it, but the camera, our camera system now initiates 40 seconds before you turn the lights on. So you turn the lights on, it'll start recording from 40 seconds before until you cut it off.
Automatically, or can it be disabled by the officer?
You can disable it. The screen's right there.
Yeah, I think if it can be disabled, but that, I don't think I've ever seen that. But with the system that we do have, it does look awfully suspicious if we say we have audio or video camera and it doesn't work. We get 10 seconds or whatever, and the file ends up being corrupted. It's awfully crappy to explain that to a defense attorney or defendant that, hey, we have video cameras, but they don't work, or the file was corrupted because it's such an old system. That really sucks.
It would look worse if we had them, new ones, and we didn't use them.
Yeah, to have cameras and have the option to disable them is not acceptable.
It's not, you're not, I mean, you can just hit the stop recording, but I mean, at the end of the event, you have to stop recording them. But that's what court's for it. I mean, as a supervisor, if I watch something and they turn it off, there's gonna be a policy on it. But also, if they turn it off, the defense is gonna hammer them for it. Like, what are you hiding? Even if there's nothing there, they're gonna say, "What are you hiding?"
I think what John's asking is that can they be made so you can't override them?
Well, you have to stop the event at some point.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Doesn't it, even if you shut your lights off, it doesn't stop the event?
Because then you shut your lights off when you don't want to. I mean, there's times where we go to a domestic and we're, going lights and siren there. As soon as we get close to the house, sometimes we don't want the person to know where that. So we shut the lights off. So it's like, if that shuts off the camera, that's an event.
And I understand what Don's saying too, and it's happened before, and
Happens
sure,
again. I mean,
it'll happen again.
so I don't see anything wrong with the sheriff's budget other than the vehicle, but there's no way in the world that we can take $40,000 out of this year's budget to do that. We could probably start a reserve going forward to do that. As always, I would prefer that we get rid of one deputy. I think we should have a sheriff and a deputy, but that's always been my stance, and that would certainly help with the vehicles also. And there isn't any reason why we can't buy used vehicles. We've done that many times. Already set up.
When did we buy a used vehicle that was already set up?
That Ford you're driving was a used vehicle.
It wasn't set up.
Well,
Did you do work
so
on the Ford?
it was a used vehicle.
It was a show vehicle. It wasn't used. I mean, it wasn't used for the job.
No, I didn't say that. It was a used vehicle. We paid $13,000 for it, I think.
We really need to set up some rotation and have a plan in place for replacing the sheriff's vehicles. So when they hit a certain mileage factor or a certain maintenance expense, they go down the road and there's money available to do that.
I agree.
No.
Yep.
So it's not an issue when something goes wrong, it just happens.
Yep.
We're gonna get to the point where they all
Or
die at the
they're all
same
gonna
time.
dump on us in the same year and then we're gonna have
Are you
trouble.
convinced that the pickup is the one to get rid of, or should we get rid of the car?
We don't have a car.
That,
SUV.
that SUV?
Now the SUVs, out of 2012.
That's the newest one we have, isn't it?
Doesn't that have the 110 on it or something?
115, look at it. I mean,
That's nothing on a vehicle nowadays, Mark. What the
Yeah.
heck?
It should go to
the truck does,
200,000.
I don't think the truck it's getting old equipment and it's getting old. That's the one that needs to go. And if you want to turn it into a service vehicle and give it to the road department and let them run it until the wheels fall off,
They got enough pickups running around up there.
I think the one, they must have one of their pickups, I think, is the old style Dodge yet. It's got the old body style, yeah, that they're still running around. So, yeah.
It's sitting in Bedford, I think.
Is it?
So if we put $20,000 into reserve, then we could have this discussion next year, another $20,000, and there would be enough.
Either that or if it's imminent, take it out of the general reserve, I suppose, right? But then it won't be there for something else.
So that would be a vehicle replacement in 20 rather than 19.
Well, it could be, yeah,
Be January 1 of 20 would be the,
could be.
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Then there'd be enough money then.
Then there'd be enough money to go forward.
Right. And again, it doesn't have to be a new vehicle. There's all kinds of
No.
vehicles out there that.
But when they get them at that state cost, they're probably as cheap as a used one.
Should we consider updating the camera lease system into one of these? Or would you rather just
I'd rather just
do it all in a new when we do that?
Yeah, just do it all at the same time. I mean, there's no sense in spending the money.
Or removing it,
Yeah.
putting it back?
Yeah.
At least then our camera system would be, as if it sounds like that might be as much of a trouble as the vehicle that we have right now.
I think that the money would be better spent just putting it all in at the same time.
When you do that,
Yeah.
wishes there, fellas.
I'd like to see us get the vehicle this year, but because we're gonna end up with too many miles on too many of them, I'm afraid. But we'll see what happens.
I think I'd rather do a reserve, build it up, have it when we need it.
Well, the other thing
Wait
is,
another year.
the other thing is, how many people do we have patrolling at once? Why does everybody have such a personal vehicle? Why don't we have two vehicles, and when they come to work, they jump in one of them and take the patrolling, and whoever's off,
What happens if something big happens?
drive your own car out there, or we have an old
You gonna
vehicle,
pay for that
or
if
we have an
someone wrecks
old,
it?
or we have an older vehicle sitting there.
There's no sheriff's department around here that does that.
Didn't say there was, I said there
We
could
just,
be.
we need to be able to do our jobs, and everyone has, what if car goes down?
There's
I'm asking, what happens if
there's
an hour
always
goes
what
Fix it.
ifs.
Okay.
So what would be wrong with parking the vehicles here and drive your own vehicle to work and go patrol, and when you get done, park the vehicle and then go home? Like
We work on call, so we're gonna,
I said, what would be wrong with that?
it's just, it'd be too.
And you know who's
we
gonna be on call that night.
Yeah, but we have stuff that happens. We need to be able to go.
Again, I don't see the need for 3 brand new vehicles. If we have 2 people on patrol, if you're gonna, you know they're gonna be on patrol, take the vehicle home that night. Whoever's off is off.
It's not the way it works. If something big happens, we have to be able to go. And we all, just like, if I drive my car and I crash it, because it's not a Class A vehicle,
Okay, you're not driving your car. We have an older vehicle sitting here, an older sheriff's vehicle sitting here. If there is a big incident, you come to work, jump in that car and go.
no. I disagree with that. There's no other sheriff's office around here that does that. It's
What?
3 cars, $40,000. It's a splash in the bucket. You get a car for $26,000. You can't get that. Plus, you have a warranty.
When would all the citizens that are driving $5,000 cars that have to pay for these $40,000 cars think that when you say that's just a splash in the bucket? I wonder how they feel about that.
I wonder how much does taxes does each citizen pay to the sheriff's office? It's
You
a couple
just said
cents.
it.
A couple cents. To the sheriff's office?
A couple cents. Well, where does a couple cents then
You know what the
adds up to
population
2?
of Griggs County is?
Less than Steele County, or more than Steele County, and they've got $50,000 vehicles.
Where are- where
Less,
are
we're
we?
not in Steele County.
Where
No,
are
you
we?
guys-
You know what the
Steele County
you know what the
dogs all the time.
population of Griggs County is?
26 something.
Okay, divide
2267.
$224,000. Now divide
Do
that
that
in
math.
there. Is that a couple cents?
It's $100 a piece average. So, and I don't, that isn't even, I don't care.
No,
So
I
is
know
there,
that.
somebody gonna make a motion here? What do you guys wanna do?
I'd move to approve the final allowance with the addition of 20,000 into the reserve. Total of $200,196.18.
Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mark. Been moved by Sean to approve the final allowance with the addition of vehicle replacement reserve of $20,000 for 2019. Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to add a provision that money is only spent with prior commission approval.
Can you do that, or do you need to put it in the general?
I think we need to put it in the general. I think that's the only way we're gonna have control over it. It's already been proven to us time and time again that once it's in the budget, we don't have any control over it. And I don't feel comfortable under these circumstances doing that. Comments like it's only pennies is aggravating to me. Total disregard for the people that are paying your salary. Total disregard.
Are you gonna put that forth as an amendment to the original motion?
I am. So moved.
Is there a second to establish a $20,000 reserve in the general budget and reduce the sheriff's budget back to the original final allowance number of $180,196.18?
It would be patrol vehicle reserve is what it would be called.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote on the amendment. John?
Aye.
Dale? Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Now we will have discussion on the motion as amended. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion?
So then we would then hopefully do the same thing next budget cycle.
Well, perpetual,
Right,
most likely.
and the vehicle would be able to be purchased then the first
Of
of
January.
January 2020.
Correct.
I'm fine with that.
It rolls it back here, and then we get on a plan where we
Right.
have a replacement.
Right, and then we make this a, if we can, a budget item every year.
Every year.
And it builds a reserve into that general fund.
$20,000 every year.
Right.
Yep.
And if it,
Well,
If there's-
once they're replaced, it might be able to reduce the amount to
Right.
just as long as there's enough in there to replace a vehicle
right.
if something happens.
Because
Okay?
if you go back to 17, repairs and maintenance was just about $11,000. If you can whittle some of that down, that
Right.
Mhm.
makes a big difference.
And maybe that number needs to be bigger, but that would give you a vehicle every 2 years, and once you got that up and running.
You know, and I don't know how many miles you put on them a year, Wes?
I'd say around 2025.
Oh, that's it? Oh, okay.
But the whole fleet's
once-
75.
Once we
Right.
once we get the new vehicles, the next vehicles wouldn't cost as much as we could just replace or just take the equipment that we have and put it in a new one.
Good point.
Six,
Depending on what technology does between now and then.
Right.
2, 4, yeah.
And then what Dodge does with their Durango.
Oh, sure.
Didn't we talk that the first vehicle would be the
Staying
most
in the
expensive
general
on
fund
account
doesn't
of the
build
camera and
reserve,
that
just
sort of
build
thing?
Yep,
reserve
and then
in
the next
general
ones
fund.
Would be less
Yeah.
as we go
And
along.
we spend it.
Okay.
Eventually you could replace the camera and get
Yeah,
But that won't happen till all
Yeah.
3
Might
years.
be
Yeah.
8 years
Yeah.
from now or 10 years. Who knows?
Okay.
I mean, I think that camera's lasted 10 years now, so. I think they got around 2000.
were all of them purchased at that time?
No,
Just
that's
that one?
staggered.
Okay.
That's the oldest one we have.
We just got that Ford. That one, right?
That Ford, that's got a new camera in it. That's a new one.
No, I mean, but that was purchased after we got elected. That's what I was trying to say.
That was a while ago, it was 4 years ago.
2000.
Yep.
But I remember you guys drove it home, didn't you? Somebody flew down there and drove it
No.
home.
Bob went to
Took the train.
Washington.
Yeah,
or
Bob
Oh, yeah.
Marina took the train.
Trains, planes, and automobiles.
So they rode in the cook car?
Probably not.
I did not know that information. Is there any further discussion? I did.
You further have not known.
You're not gonna work.
I did. Is there any further discussion? No more of that. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
John? Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay. Travis?
IT is on page.
Thanks, Wes.
B17, sorry.
See?
B. It went into the general fund. Now it's general IT.
Well, doesn't look like we had any questions.
Information technology?
You guys had a question about tech support and
Well, which one went up? Oh, tech support doubled.
Wasn't that because GovernSoft went into that, or like?
No, the
No,
tech
that's
support one
software.
was at 12,000. It got reduced last year. And then our R rate's changing come 2019. So we're up 15, 6. And these are just estimated numbers.
Right, I mean, it's based on hours, so what have we spent in 2018?
if you look at your expense report, it's in there. It should. I'm sorry, I don't have a expense report with me that's got the right
Here I go.
numbers that you have. Okay, so the general IT is on page 5. And actual year to date, we've spent $37,507.29.
Right. So we didn't budget at all. So,
How did that happen?
because we reduced it so much last year. I mean, it's
We spent how much?
hard to control it.
Actual
Somebody
year
needs
to
help.
date, 37.
Don't you think at some point in time we'll get this thing all the bugs out of it that we're,
I'd say we got the bugs out of it.
that we
Just,
do?
computers are kind of,
Your time.
they're a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil, I guess, one thing. And the one thing that's really pushing us to replace computers quicker now is because of Windows 7 end of life, end of 2019. So this year and next year, we have to replace all those computers.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll no longer be supported by Microsoft. We can't utilize them on the state network. Some of the systems are within that kind of middle ground or we'll just do an update from Windows 7 to Windows 10, you know, try to expand the life of it.
So is this is a one-time, this is a
We
yearly
also
payment
look
here?
at, you know, the hour, how much time I spend on it, if I have to put in the
Contract?
Yes.
That's paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like trying to
Yes.
balance
Is this
that.
yearly
so we're
payment
not
here,
wasting
software?
a lot on the labor side.
Or is that bi-yearly?
That is different softwares, so it's Dakota Programs have.
Right, but it's just, so we won't pay anymore, this is paid one
Well,
time a
this is
year.
estimate, so we can try to.
I don't think we should pay anymore unless we
try to
get
spend.
another software
Maybe something-
bill. I don't foresee anything,
Right.
but I don't know when that.
This number here is
Yeah.
server, this IT
Does the
server, that's a
computer-
one-time deal?
Nope, that's
Make
monthly.
any difference?
And this one,
That's
They always
monthly.
told us
tech
our
support's
Mac
monthly.
supposed to have a little more life.
And state,
See,
That's
you know, we try to
This is
get
monthly?
mid-range
Yep.
computers, we try to, you know, we wanna get 4 or 5 years out of them. That
This
was the
is-
directive of the
we don't
commission
know.
board. We came in,
What's
so we
this?
spend a little bit more.
payment,
on memory,
yes, social security and
processing
Oasis,
power,
oh, that's
stuff like that.
that's the
And then,
employment?
you know, they're not, the benefit though, I guess, with changing
That's a
too
payroll.
is, the state's moving to a lot of web-based stuff, so that puts less resource requirements
That's
on
payroll.
things. So our computers have actually gone down in price. but we actually
34,000.
replaced them.
Quarterly.
When you have
What's it
something goes wrong
paying?
with them, you know, say it's a
Retirement.
4-year-old
For
computer,
who?
5-year-old computer.
All general.
You know,
Oh,
you get
general.
the-
Yeah. Auditor, treasurer.
For the cost
or-
of repair it.
So, but these have already been paid out of the
It's just, it's around that.
Yes, it should be a one-time.
information, no, we're in the wrong one, we need information technology.
I always think of Farmers Oil.
Yep, that's the
You know,
IT.
two gals
Information technology is IT.
ran the whole thing. And then.
You were
they
looking
got
up.
computers.
Oh, okay, I see, I got it, so it's here, yeah.
Yeah.
So Troy, oh, that 37,000 that was spent so far this
You know,
year,
They always say that, you know.
27,000 of it was a yearly payment paid up front. So we're not over budget.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
The contract, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the budget's 61,905 and we spent 24. Am I looking at the?
Sure, yeah.
37.
Oh, 37. Oh, year to date, I'm looking at.
Yeah.
The difference.
Yeah.
so we're okay there.
Okay.
So I don't know if we need the tech support. What was the reason for the $8,000 increase?
Well, it was at 12,000 the year before. It's just an estimated number. We were estimating 120 hours for the year.
No, it was at 7,000.
7, yeah.
Yeah, before, the year before that was at 12. It was reduced last year to.
Right, because we only spent, the year before, we only spent $7,900 of it.
Yeah, my concern is with the replacement of the Windows 7 machines, just make sure we have enough there to spend what's going on. This year, we're gonna be replacing the servers. We did pay for the licenses on January 1st. We haven't actually completed the labor yet, because I tend to like to do those at the end of the year, just so we're not getting over budget, you know, do a bunch of work in the beginning of the year and run out at the end kind of thing. And then depending on how much is left this year, we're gonna look at how many computers we can purchase for replacement as well, so we're getting them done by the end of 2019.
So are we replacing on condition or are we replacing on calendar time?
We replace on condition usually. The problem with this one here is Windows 7 is end of life, end of 2019, so we're replacing on calendar as well too. So I should say we're replacing everything. Some of the computers that are specified for or spec'd out to actually handle Windows 10, we'll just do an update on, but there's not that many of them. Most of them will need to be replaced by the 2019. So this year when we do buy the new ones, however many that may be, they'll replace the oldest machines that are in the building then.
How many machines do we have?
I'm not certain on that. With laptops, sheriff's department, I have 30-some, 36, I believe somewhere around there, I guess.
The machines are cheap. It's the setup. I mean, you're putting in CPUs anyway, just, you're not putting in new monitors on everybody's computer.
Correct, yeah, it's just a CPU tower.
So, it's the labor to get them installed, or set up and installed.
And every department's different too.
Right.
Some
Depends
have
on what
more
software.
software, yeah. You know, sheriff's
But
department-
you don't think that, I mean, I guess we have a few computers that are running Windows 10, but not very many. You don't think they're gonna keep supporting that after 19?
Windows 7 is not, no, it's been earmarked as end of life.
Yeah, I know, but they always keep going.
They've already pushed it once, and I don't think Microsoft's gonna do it again.
So, yeah.
Watch, they'll do it now too, because they said it wouldn't. And I think it's January 15th, 2020 is the actual end of life, so.
2020.
Yeah.
So we got a
it's-
couple of years left.
Yeah, problem is if we go into January of 2020 budget and I have to replace, say, 5 computers, that's quite a bit at that time too. Worst case scenario, if we had to hold off like 1 or 2, 2020, we could be able to do that. So, like what we did last year, we went through end of the year, looked at how much money was left in the IT budget. I said,
How many have you replaced?
We replaced 3, I think, this year from with the system. There's probably 5. We just did one now here. One of the hard drives went on a computer. Replaced the hard drive, but it's compatible with Windows 10, so we bought a Windows 10 license for that. Just did an update on it instead of replacing the entire thing. I tend to do the updates at the end of the year just because I'm on the budget. I don't want to be getting myself into trouble by buying too many computers at the beginning of the year.
I think we should chisel that back to $8,000.
Well, it'll be whatever it is.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean that's not.
He's
like,
just billing us by the hour.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spend it just because. It's just if something does happen, we bill for it. So, I guess the question would become if we did go over or started going over what's the policy. Because Samantha would tell me, hey, we need to replace the system. That's what we take it out of.
But you're not replacing
No,
systems.
I mean the labor to do it. It comes out, yeah, the tech side. Tech
Oh, it
support.
does?
Yeah, so the computer, we replace the computer hardware, and then whatever time it costs to replace it comes out of that tech support. And then if there's any problems with any of the department's computer, software, they call in and say this is not working, that call comes out of that tech support line,
Yeah.
so. I mean, it's however you guys wish to handle that, it's a guess number, I mean,
Right.
it varies.
That's
all
what
the
I
time.
thought.
So,
So,
I mean, my directive from you guys, I guess when we first started was only use what is needed, so. And
Right.
that's why last year we went to talk to you guys about, getting your computers, we were pulling it from different line items to be able to do that, so. That was a request to the commission then, so. I would just need to know if we did hit that budget, what would happen if, to go over that, what's the steps to do that? We have to get approval through you. Does that mean I'm not supposed to do work until approval?
right.
Things like that, and, that's 2 weeks out if something does happen potentially, and.
Is there an asset inventory?
Yeah, I think each department does their own.
Correct.
'Cause that has to go into insurance, I believe.
Right, yep.
So like when the new department gets a computer, we just tell them the cost of the system then, so they can put it on their
So
inventory.
you don't have a,
I do, I have one through our management software, I can print it, so. And that
I
would
just
show like
wondered
Windows
if-
7, which,
huh?
that would show like the manufacturer date, serial number, OS it's running and stuff like that,
Right,
so.
that's what I was wondering. So we can get our arms around the next 24 months.
I mean, we've always had surplus in the IT budget, I guess. That's what we used last year to buy those server licenses and then the 3 computers, I believe, is what we did in December. And that's what we do looking at this year too, is how many we can replace this year at the end of the year, so.
Okay.
So I'd like to use them as long as we can before replacing them. I like, I said, that one computer, the hard drive went out, so that's why we
Right.
did the update process on it then, so.
So could you notify us before you do any work over the $8,000? I mean, that would give Sean.
I guess, if we're getting close to it,
Well, we'll know that. We have a
You'll get
meeting
your
every 2
every
weeks.
month,
You
you guys have
get
your
the
budgets. and then
expense report every month, so.
Could we transfer money at that time, or it has to be at the end of the year?
You're in a general, so we can transfer money out of a
Okay.
different budget if
Okay,
we
yeah,
need to.
that's-
There's a reserve in the general fund too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that number.
So there's really no need to, I mean, we don't need to pad this budget and have a reserve in the general budget, cause it's all in the same kitty.
Yeah, then just to review it at the time, it's like,
Right.
yeah, we're at this %, we should
Right.
probably transfer 2,000.
And then if we look at that asset inventory, if
That's
you
the point
can
of a
show that
budget.
to us.
I can get, yeah, I had last year a breakdown, I still have that, I can get you guys as far as
Sure.
which computers, what years we're planning on replacing them, and then just an estimated cost, basically, stuff like that too, so. And depending on how this year goes too, as far as how much work is done, what's left over, we'll be looking at
Okay.
how much we can spend and replacing too, so.
So you're gonna make that motion, Sean?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the final allowance budget with the reduction of tech support to $8,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion?
So the final number would be 63,100.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took 8 away. I should have took 7,600 away.
So 63.5.
63.5, yeah.
Which is a little bit over last year's budget anyway.
Right. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, so we're gonna have to replace 28 computers in the next year and a half?
I'll get those exact numbers for you for the next meeting, because I already have it, so I'll update with the ones we've done already. And then kind of, you guys can look at what.
Then I'm gonna have to look at my asset inventory on Monday when I get to work.
And we have,
We'll take a 10-minute break.
Been moved by John, then we take a 10-minute recess. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is in recess. What was that now? Call the meeting back to order. Okay.
So I think that's everything on the budget, from this and from what went over last week and now.
Mary and Library Board.
They didn't come now. So
I
now if you just put it together and see where we're at.
yes, I did have a conversation that I'd like to just bring up if I may. The election equipment is getting really, really old. The auditors convention, we talked about it, and we're trying to go to the legislation to get funding because it was funded years back. With this system, Travis was kind of talking about it with Windows 7 is going to be outdated by the next election. It's and we need Windows 7 for this equipment. I was just wondering if you thought that we should maybe start putting a reserve together for election equipment just in case the state says no. Again, we did go last session and they said no. Wondering if you guys wanted to start something or what your guys' thoughts are. I
don't know how it works.
Yeah. The state funded it back then.
No. How does it work? What?
The election equipment. It's the M100 is what the ballots go into.
Yep.
That's getting old, and our auto marks are getting old, and that's what like disabled people can use those to help mark their ballots. Those are getting old, and then.
But they work, right?
The auto mark didn't work this past time, so I do have to get the other system out, so we then don't have a backup. And then with the software to get it to the computers, those need Windows 7. And if we get all new computers with Windows 10, we then don't have a computer to upload this stuff.
But what happens to the computer that you upload it to? I mean, what do you do with it once you upload it?
Just it gets to the state is all it is.
How?
So the state won't let you run Windows 7 after they're not supported by Microsoft. Isn't that what he alluded to?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Like my,
That's why they're replacing them. Microsoft won't service them anymore or update them, and then the state won't let them on the network.
Yeah, what happened, Microsoft is just software.
Yeah, but they're
What
they're
happens
not-
is
they're not-
they don't
they don't
patch it
patch and
anymore.
fix anymore. Yeah, so then the state won't let them on that system.
Right, I didn't know how that computer, I mean, if it's not hooked to the internet, it don't matter.
No.
and one computer is like, we don't put that to the internet or whatever because of hackers and stuff to say that it didn't get hacked.
So what do you do with it?
It goes on the one standalone computer, and then it goes on to the network. Yeah. Some counties are thinking about putting a reserve together just in case for Plan B. I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. If you
What's the cost of the equipment?
a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
$50?
No, it's
That's a lot to me.
it's a lot, and
What's
I
a
mean,
lot?
I guess we'd have to know.
yeah, I can do some research of what it would be for us. It was just a thought because it would be a lot if the state said
Well, what's
no.
a lot? That's not a number.
No, she's got a number.
It's like hundreds of thousands for new equipment, I believe.
No, well, then we just go back to the old.
Then we just go
pencil
back to
and-
the old pencil and paper.
Yeah.
Why would we do that for 2,200 people when only 70% of them vote?
We wouldn't.
I can look into just making sure that that's. I know it's a lot. I mean, we're trying to get like millions from the legislation.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. To try and update all this stuff, but
I can see the big cities, yeah, I know, but I can see the big cities. But for us, like you say, yeah.
Maybe we should go to all absentee voting in the county and then everybody fills their
Well,
vote.
that was got to go through the machine too.
Did you
Yeah.
make the adjustments that Ron forwarded?
One, two, three, four,
I
five.
didn't.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, this was a while ago.
Somebody's got
Okay.
a monopoly on.
Medical marijuana policy.
I'll get them to you.
Here.
So I want the state
Samples
trade
are-
convention,
I'll
we
get
can
them.
talk more about
Okay,
this
thank you.
and well, what's going to happen with the medical marijuana stuff. The state right now is adopting, I believe, and maybe I probably already have, adopting a no tolerance policy for marijuana, but leaving it as kind of a don't ask, don't tell situation, is what First explained to us. That I think it's probably the safest not to have people high running equipment and working here. And but with that said, with the don't ask, don't tell policy, we don't know about it. I guess it won't hurt us. But I think the majority of counties, with recommendation from the state, I think they're adopting a zero tolerance policy for drug use.
Like we don't have that now.
I think we do, but it's going to be legalized. That was with illegal drugs, I believe, in the policy.
So do we? Go ahead.
And it, even that it's used for, it's a constitutional amendment, a constitutional right to use it for medical use. It's still illegal federally, so it's something that we're not going to get dinged by the ADA on if we do adopt the zero tolerance policy. And I don't even know what the policy is right now. I just wanted to bring it up to you guys so you guys were aware of it.
So,
If somebody needs
We-
it
we all
or
know that-
prescribed it, why would?
right, so we all know that it passed by 67%. We're not talking about recreational use, we're talking about medical use.
Right, but
Would we make it illegal for an employee to take prescribed pills for an illness other than marijuana?
well, we have a zero tolerance. Alcohol's legal. We can't come to work drunk. You can. It's similar
Not all
as
these products are mind altering. You know, you're going to test positive for
that. Right. I understand
for the
that.
components, but you're not going to be waned off. So
Right, I understand that.
But if you're prescribed Valium or another
Hydrocodone
opiate, yeah,
Right,
you
and
don't
you-
come to work and
Well, I don't know what our drug policy is, to be honest with you. I don't have it. I don't do it. I guess I've never worried about it. So, I wanted to, I don't want an action from you guys right now. I wanted to bring it up and bring up a dialogue because I thought that's what we need to do.
well, so here's a scenario. So we don't know. Maybe we have an employee that has an illness that is only made better by the use of marijuana. And so now we're going to deny that person a job because of something that's legal in the state, because the powers that be in North Dakota didn't accept the will of the people and want to sidetrack this thing any way they can. That's ridiculous.
We don't need to do nothing.
We don't have to do anything.
What's that?
We don't need any motions or anything to adopt upon this policy.
Well, we need to amend our policy. Right now, if you test positive for marijuana, you're in trouble with us.
Well, I think that really only is going to.
I don't know that. I don't know what the policy
I don't know
is.
what policy is
Drug
either.
use.
I think that's going to just extend to the DOT.
Can't run a maintainer drunk either, so.
Right.
The way that the prescription marijuana law works, you're not going to see a whole lot of people that are going to be using it anyway, because part of the law is that you have to have a terminal illness that makes you more comfortable. Is really what the medical marijuana is for. So it's not going to be everybody.
That wasn't part of the
That
ballot
wasn't how it
measure.
was voted on. That
It
was
but that's what that's.
Well, when that get challenged in the North Dakota Supreme Court, that's not going to be part of the law anymore.
no. Al Carlson doesn't get to be king.
No, I know that.
He wants to be, but.
That wasn't how it was written.
He
It was very
doesn't.
specifically
He's not
written.
even a prince.
It was very specifically written, and 67% of the people wanted this. Well, how in the world then are we going? I'm not going to be involved in denying that to people that rightly have it by a change of our constitution. I mean, no way. That is arrogance at its.
It might just be ignorance.
Again, we would not tell somebody that had an illness and had a prescription for a drug that they couldn't take that drug and come to work. Why should we do that for this?
Oh, you might.
Some of the drugs that you can take, they say don't
Depends
operate heavy equipment or things like
Right.
that, but they do something else. It wouldn't be like they wouldn't be an employee for us. We'd have them doing something else.
Do you want me to read this entire thing
Wouldn't be
to you?
grounds for-
Just the good stuff.
Drug and alcohol use is highly detrimental to the safety and productivity of employees in the workplace. No employee may be under the influence of any illicit drugs or alcohol while in the workplace, while on duty, or while operating a vehicle or equipment owned or leased by the county. Possessing, distributing, transferring, purchasing, selling, using, or being under the influence of alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs while on the county properties, while attending business-related activities, while on duty, or while operating a vehicle or machinery leased or owned by the county may also lead to disciplinary actions, including suspension without pay or discharge. Illegal drugs in the workplace are a danger to us all. They impair safety and health, promote crime, lower productivity and quality. And do you want me just to read this all?
They're-
Sorry,
At-
this
at
gets
that
to be
point,
really
they're being
long.
prescribed. They're not
Illegal
they're not
drugs.
illegal.
Well,
Neither is
they are.
alcohol.
Can't get a prescription for. I mean, illegal
Can't
in
see.
your scenario. Yes, they are illegal as far as the federal government goes.
Right.
But we should change that illegal as it pertains to North Dakota law, I would say, and that would. I mean, all it depends. Does North Dakota law take precedence in our mind, or does state or federal law?
Doesn't matter what's in our mind. It's for the Supreme Court to decide.
Well, I mean, it has been. Federal law still takes precedence over North Dakota law, just that the feds have chosen not to enforce it.
Right. So I think it's highly unlikely that we'll ever have to deal with it, and I'm willing to take the risk that we need to deal with it later, but I don't think we need to talk about it much now.
The road department does take
Drug test.
drug tests, and that is one of the things.
But that's applicable towards their license, so I don't think there's a whole lot that we can do about that, because that's
North Dakota DOT.
their Class A license.
They, like a pool, they get called randomly.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, as the law stands right now, or the way it's proposed, I don't see it being an issue, because it's not gonna be everybody that complains of a chronic backache or headaches, they're not gonna be prescribed.
I don't think it'll stand too long before that's challenged.
Yeah. Don't matter.
There is talk that recreational is going to be on the ballot in November.
The what?
Recreational.
marijuana.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, all this is gonna have to be dealt with.
They've got the signatures.
I know.
Mhm.
And it'll actually be cheaper for the state. The state has spent so much money already on this medicinal marijuana. It probably would have been a lot cheaper for the state if we would have just went with recreational to start with.
Well, the state didn't have to spend the money. They were the ones that imposed all these new rules and regulations in hope of
To try to change what was
trying to change what was
initially.
already voted on.
Right. Right. So we'll see what happens in November. Courthouse or township road mileage certification.
You have that in your packet. I just need your signature on it.
Doesn't require approval or anything.
Huh? Just requires your signature.
I looked at it, but
So I didn't want to have you sign it outside of the meeting, because that's always been the what we've done. But this is exactly how it was in 2016. Nothing has changed as far as the road mileage or anything like that, so.
old courthouse, new courthouse. Okay,
I don't, well, we took care of it with
did he?
Hope so.
Hmm?
I hope so. I hope you'll take it.
Future business?
I just have ND PERS retirement.
With that, so all employees, are they on ND PERS health insurance also? Is that what it is?
If they qualify, yes.
Okay.
That's Sanford, but that's a completely different deal.
Okay,
That's the one that's going up, projected to go up 17% this year.
Right.
is there a reason we don't have a policy that once employees get over 65, that they go on to Medicare instead of ND PERS?
How would we know if they are or not? Maybe they are.
Well, I know like Cheyenne Tooling, the minute they turn 65, boy, they're off their,
No?
and they're on Medicare.
Do you want me to look into that?
I don't know. The only reason I could think of that we wouldn't ask people to do that is if it was illegal.
I think that
probably is something.
We still might do it.
Well, I mean, not really, right?
No, I agree, but I think that's probably something that you're hit the nail on the head with. I don't think it would be legal to do that.
Why not?
I think we'd be looking at some age discrimination stuff.
That's true.
Well, we're still offering, it's still a same,
So they pay their part B.
yeah. We still paying for a single family over there. I don't know, it's just a question.
I would.
It was a good question.
That is.
Well, it is, but I that's what my thought would be. It would be discriminatory.
Cause I know there's places that are doing that, so.
So maybe they're on Medicare and have full insurance.
No, because you're there, so they know, unless you're paying it out of their
Or
own.
budget item.
Okay.
Oh, whenever you're done.
Plus, Sam's gonna check into it.
Yep. We didn't talk about the county commissioner's salary.
Brought that up just for you, Sean. I just felt
Back pay?
back pay. I just felt that I do enough volunteer work around the county and in town. I don't need to do another volunteer work job.
I don't know if you caught that in the budget, Sean. Mark put $50 a meeting in there last month for
Oh.
the commissioners.
No, I didn't. So we're going to one meeting a month?
That'd be fine. You know, I go to half of them at $50.
At some point, I would like to do that too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I don't know how dragged out.
You don't get a
they'd
say
be.
though.
I know.
What?
I don't know how dragged out they'd be then.
Yeah, I don't
It
think.
seems like there's always questions. I mean, I hate to, well, maybe not.
The second one's not very long usually. But
Yeah. So, anyway,
If you run into business,
You-
you'd pay more closer attention than going there once a month and going to the office.
oh, I know. So you're gonna put that in the form of a motion?
Yes. I'll make a
Been
motion. that
moved
the-
by Mark that the commissioner's salary be increased to $50 a meeting. Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
No.
Dale?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
No.
Troy votes yes. Motion fails. I was hoping I wouldn't have to be the swing.
Tried to set him up.
Oh, man, that was good.
With that, the yes vote, Troy, you officially became a swamp creature.
Yep.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Been moved by John to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 4:04 p.m. on July 6th. Next meeting, July 20th at 1 p.m.